everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Under the Arch. My name is Mark. This is Josiah, and we have none other than Daddy McPhee, a.k.a. Russell McPhee, a.k.a. everyone's first favorite professor. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is pretty exciting. We did have some pre-conversations before this, so I kind of just want to jump right into it.
Okay.
We started off by talking about how Russell started with Griffith University and was doing psychology.
Sorry, everybody.
So yeah, it's kind of weird. Please.
So finished high school, and when I was at high school, I was, and this may come as a surprise to no one, a bit of a science nerd, and decided I wanted to do science at UQ. Went to UQ, didn't enjoy it, but had an elective. Intro to psych, so cognitive psychology, which was really interesting. UQ was a long way away. I grew up on the Gold Coast, so ended up dropping out of that. Went to Griffith to do the full psych degree there.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, and then after you finished at Griffith, you came to Bond.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So I also dropped out in between. While I was at Griffith, and had a year where I was knocking on doors selling karate.
What does that mean?
So I would go from, I don't want to say the company, but it was shaped like a pyramid, and the organizational structure of said company, and they had people who enjoyed karate and had them walk around the streets knocking on doors in order to get kind of registrations and memberships to get people into the classes, and then
I understand the scheme. As an Egyptian, we're very
of course
we know the pyramids like inside and out. So I just curious, if you're door-to-door selling, so you had a studio that you'd be bringing people to, or is like in-home karate? Or?
So there would be various locations around the Gold Coast, so like schools where they'd rent out the hall and hold a class there. So classes everywhere. Yep.
Okay. And then when you got people to sign up, it was like for a certain amount of time, and then
and money, importantly.
Well,
So and it was a bit of look, it wasn't necessarily a cult, but it was cultish, and I was definitely sold on it, and it took me a while to get out of that, and finally when I did, I went back to do psych.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, and then so then when I was finishing off my psych degree, I had a part-time job tutoring maths, and so while I was doing that, one of my so it was like this company where lots of students would come in, and you'd run them through a computer program on basic maths, and you had people from primary school all up to high school, and one of my students was in one of my friend's mother's class at All Saints, so we shared a student, and one day my friend's mum took me aside and said that this particular student had not only improved in maths but improved in kind of everything, and now had like a real love for learning, and she asked whether I had ever thought about teaching, and at that stage I was 3 years into the psych degree and hadn't really thought about what I wanted to be when I grew up, and so then that was the swap to Bond to do the Masters of Teaching, because I wanted to be a high school teacher.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the original goal.
That was the original goal, high school teacher.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is kind of an upgrade.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, students generally are better behaved, not always, but
actually, I don't know about that. I just say it might be a little bit more fun. You have more freedom to do what you want here versus in high school.
Absolutely.
We're definitely not better behaved. Okay. So after that, you went from Griffith to Bond, did your master's in educational practice, and then you moved on to a PhD here?
Yeah, so started teaching here. Finished my master's in education in 2006, and that was just when Bond University College was being opened, and they were looking for people to write curriculum, in particular people who had just finished the education program that Bond had been running people through. And I got in on that, and I wrote a subject called it was called Clear Thinking and Reasoning, and so I was teaching that in 2007, and it got changed to a full university core subject in 2011, and then that's where I thought I needed to kind of polish up and do the PhD in kind of educational philosophy.
So, did Bond always have core subjects, or?
Yeah, it has from the beginning. I don't necessarily know whether it goes back to the 80s, but at least when I started, I did masters, so I skipped the core, but everyone at that stage was doing it. But in different categories, and there was choice. So I think for example, in semester 1, you had a choice between comm skills and public speaking. And semester 2, you could do kind of the businessy ones like entrepreneurship and strategic management, and I think an IT one fit in there. And then an ethics one, which was like contemporary issues, law and society, was in that area. So there was more kind of choice of theming, but choice in between subjects. That was reviewed in 2013, and it was decided that it should all be rolled together instead of having 4 core subjects. Let's make it 3, plus Beyond Bond, and roll together subject matters. So reasoning skills and comm skills kind of went together as an introductory subject.
So you're essentially like a pioneer of the core one.
Yeah, sure. Yes, I have been teaching that since the whole time.
Yeah, you created it pretty much. You wrote the course and
with other people as well. But yes, I was there. Definitely.
Cool. I was there. I was there. Same thing. I heard it here first. Okay, so when you did your doctorate of philosophy did you have like a focus? What was your thesis on?
So, and this is where you lose 80% of your listeners. But
we'll be back after.
Okay. It's called a virtue epistemic approach to critical thinking. I looked at the existing philosophical literature on what is critical thinking. Is it just a set of skills? Is it sort of character traits? What is it? And I sought to come up with a conceptual understanding of what it is. And my idea in the end is that it's not just skills, but it's character, the character traits. Certain things like conscientiousness, so caring that you're getting something right, or caring enough to look into something, kind of carefulness, those sorts of things.
But that's not something you're born with. It's something you're raised with.
Well, it depends who you ask. Some people would say that like character traits are innate, but yes, the can be learned. Learnable is the general idea that you character traits can be shaped. They're not like the normal things that we're born with excellences, but they're excellences that can be taught through kind of education.
Yeah. And some people are obviously more like prone to
yes,
picking it up.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. So well, that's what I hope Core 1 does is, particularly with like the fallacy hunt and the final essay, you slowly introduce people towards doubtful situations and have them kind of criticize them, and that teaches them to be careful, those sorts of things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I remember when I took your course, I was telling you this earlier, like my conversations with people changed from like the structure of it from the beginning, like how to have a legit like bulletproof argument, even though I didn't believe what I was saying, I just knew how to.
yeah. Well, no, that's good.
It's a dangerous skill.
It is. It is. It can be misused. Yeah. For evil.
Or just for some fun.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you have any like super memorable undergrad stories of when you were?
Not really. They were my party years, I suppose.
Oh yeah, sorry.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Post Griffith.
No, I'm contractually obligated not to have any Griffith stories. Not really. Not really.
Okay. All right, we'll move on. There's better stories yet to come. That's for sure. So you said Core 1 was a compulsory subject since you started.
So yes, 2014, 142. It became the core as you all know it now, and has been since.
Why is it that it's only undergrads? Because obviously not every university has the same course structure that Bond has,
Mm.
why isn't it the case that, like, is it assumed that postgrads have picked those skills up along the way, whether it's selling karate classes or not?
I think so. I think you've got it there. That the way that it is in the moment is Core 1, even though it does teach essential skills, is designed as a first semester subject. So that there's a whole bunch of other, not baggage is the wrong word, but this is how to use Turnitin. This is how to submit a thing. This is and a postgraduate. It would have to be a new subject that had a lot more assumed knowledge. Yeah,
That's fair enough. Okay, so let's talk about your wife. because I'm gonna tie this into your course later, but Russell's here married to a doctor.
Yes, she
that
is.
he met
She is.
here on the coast. You said.
Yes.
You want to take us through that? Where, when, how, why?
2008. She was a study abroad student from America and was studying at University of Sydney and had taken a brief holiday up to Surfers Paradise because she was told that was the thing that one ought to do. And I met her at O'Malley's, which I don't even know if it exists there, but it's above McDonald's in Cavill Ave. I don't know. That
Like an
used to
Irish
be
pub?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it's still there.
Well,
I
that's
don't think it's there.
well, that's depressing. Yeah,
It was probably there until COVID.
yeah,
Possibly.
that's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
That's true.
After
Yeah.
that, a lot of.
Yeah, met her there. She finished up her studies here. I successfully imported her and sent her off to med school.
Nice. Where'd she do med
No,
school?
it was her choice. She did med school at a competing university.
Okay. Okay.
UQ. She
Yeah,
did
yeah,
UQ,
that's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got her to come here from Sydney, so that's
Yeah, that's
a
true.
feat in itself.
I know. She reminds me.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's awesome.
She loves Sydney.
That bar called O'Malley's, the Pina Colada song. In the Pina Colada song, it says we'll meet at a bar called O'Malley's. You know that
Is
song?
it really?
Yeah.
Like or getting
That's
caught in
the
the
song
rain?
lyric.
I get
Yeah.
caught in the rain.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm living a.
You're living a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the reason I brought that up was two things. First of all, tons of girls have crushes on you right off the bat. Like I said, you're everyone's first favorite prof, and most kids come out here and like, oh, who's this funny, interesting prof? And then it goes there. So we're letting you girls know he's married. I'm sorry, and she's a doctor. You can't beat that. So how did she feel? Yeah, and American, but.
Yep.
It's a spoiler alert. Something that actually you want to spoil it. What you do on week 11 or 10 of your core class?
Oh, okay. Changing. Yeah. So so this is the overdose lecture, where I introduce everyone to homeopathy, the principles of it, the idea that something can become more potent the more you dilute it, and then these products are sold saying that they can cure all these sorts of things from coughs and colds to anxiety, and they're sold with basically nothing but water. So I go through the science behind it and say what all of the dilution scales mean, and then multiply it all out and say that it's safe to drink an entire bottle and have a whole bottle of pills. That has been working well until last semester, where they changed the formulation on me. So for the last 10 years or so, I've been doing this stunt, and not necessarily because it proves that homeopathy doesn't work, but more so that it's a bit of a memorable thing that people probably will look closely at their vitamin bottles and see whether it's homeopathic or not homeopathic. Anyway, I started drinking it in the middle of the lecture and realized it tasted different because it normally just tastes like flavored water, like a purple flavored water, and it tasted off. And I looked at it and it was in the moment and thought, this is a bit weird, and commented, this tastes worse than it normally does, but then finished the entire bottle. And then at the end is when I looked down and realized that there's still the homeopathic preparation in there, so basically memory of certain flowers, but also they started adding vitamin C and zinc and all of these actual like amounts of actual ingredients. And it's not that any of them were scary ingredients, like vitamin C is normal, but a lot of vitamin C that can give you the runs for a week. Yeah. And I'd had 100 doses of it. So there's a moment in the lecture where I freak out and then quickly open an Excel file to try to do some quick calculations to work out whether I was about to embarrass myself in front of everyone. Ended up being fine. Ended up like the dosage, the vitamin C that they added to it was so small that I'd only had like a daily dose by taking 100 doses. Okay. But yeah, so this semester I'll have to be much more careful. But that just goes to show, read the bottle.
Yeah. Wow, and you read it after you took it all? And
well, I'd looked at it. It's the same thing at the front, but I didn't see this little yellow sticker that said new improved formula. And I ignored that because,
it really is.
Yeah, hubris.
Just to backtrack a bit, like what was the first year that you did that and how did you come up with that idea?
So it's not an original idea. There was a movement. I don't know when it started. I think it was. I think on the 23rd of October, so 10/23, and the reason why that date was chosen was because of Avogadro's constant, which is kind of violated by what homeopathic the principles say, and so I think on that date people had picked a time, maybe it was 10/23 on the 23rd of October, and people would all around the world overdose. I don't remember exactly why, but it might have been in protest to I think the UK government's support of an unproven placebo. Oh. Yeah. So so it wasn't my idea, but it was terrifying the first time I did it. Yeah, because even though there's nothing in there, your brain is still super powerful and tells you that you're chugging a bottle of sleeping pills, and you just feel weird. And it's a lot of sugar too. It's like it's because it's pure sugar. The tablets are pure sugar, and the other stuff has a bit of sugar in it. So you just it feels weird. But
so did your wife help you with that? Like, did you run it by her as like a doctor? Like
no. She wasn't a doctor probably when I started doing it. Oh. No.
Oh, okay. No. Here, I thought you were like leveraging that to figure out.
No.
Your dosages.
No, it was.
Well, it's not real medicine, so.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she's pleased that I do it, but
she's pleased that you do it.
Well, she's amused that I do it,
Okay,
but no, it didn't help me kind of come up with the idea. Yeah.
Interesting.
And so in 2013, that's when Core 1 became Core 1 as we know it.
May semester 2014.
2014.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you were working on your PhD.
Yep.
Which we've discussed.
Yep.
But at the same time as well, you started as a senior res fellow in BVOC.
Yes.
And
yeah.
you're actually still the senior res fellow for my first semester or first 2 semesters.
Yeah, 6 years worth of B block.
Living in the blocks. So how was that? How did you get roped into that in the first place? And what are some stories from that?
It was amazing. It's not something that anyone could do forever. For people who might not know what a senior res fellow does is that they live on campus, and between them and a couple of other student res fellows, the police would probably be the best word for it in the blocks, given its reputation and clientele. Police, noise, social frictions, and basically make sure that the place doesn't burn down until 11 o'clock when it becomes security's problem. But then you would have to lock up and walk around this whole building. But perfectly fine. And I loved it. I thought it was. I loved every second of it. It was hard because you'd go from work, you'd do a lecture, you'd be in the classroom or whatever, and then you'd go home and it would be 200 meters away. So it was very Like if you go to Burleigh one weekend, you'd think, wow, look at this. There's a whole new world outside of Bond. So for 6 years, it was very live, breathe, sleep, eat.
Isolated in a bubble
Yeah,
kind of thing.
the Bond bubble. But the people are amazing that you work with, and just being able to go for a walk down to the Bra or Lakeside and have like 100 conversations was really good.
So you were teaching core at that same time.
Oh, yeah.
While you were living there.
Yeah. So I think I was told once that when I was hired, there was an initial worry about whether a teacher, someone who sees a student in a classroom and then interacts with them after hours, and might see them when they're drunk and tells them to turn off the music, is there going to be an issue there? So will there be resentments? Ends up it was a benefit that people knew me from the classroom back at the B block and knew me from B block back in the classroom, and it ended up being fine. Not just fine, but great.
Yeah. So you'd say you built stronger relationships
Oh,
with
hell
those
yeah.
students
Yes.
versus when after.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, yes.
You'd have
yeah,
to.
I'd
You'd
have
spend
to.
more
I have
time
to.
with them, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And yeah, like people would talk, and there were a lot more problems to solve and issues to deal with, and
You're
yeah,
getting really personal with them now. Like
Yeah.
You're getting to know their
the full
story.
yeah, absolutely.
All right. So
Yeah.
tell me, what's a memorable story of that time? You don't use any names.
I can't use I won't
Yeah.
use, and some of the most memorable are ones that I don't think I can ever share. But there was one time where I chased some local youths who had broken into some rooms, and then into a car. I chased them while wearing Birkenstocks.
Nice.
Yeah. This was back when Birkenstocks weren't cool, and it seems that when I had Birkenstocks, they stopped being cool, and then I got rid of them, and now they're back again. So I'm not saying that would be a confusion of correlation and cause, as everyone would know, but
Could be.
it's a suspicious coincidence. But yeah, they'd broken in, and then had returned, stolen some car keys, and had returned to steal a car. And all of the guys had like found out and ran out, and one of them ripped him out of a car and saved the car, and then they took off, and so I ran after them, and the other guy who I was running after him with, he also had Birkenstocks, so we're like clip-clopping up the hill against these guys with both wearing Birkenstocks, and they're getting away from us, and then one of them said they'd stab us with a screwdriver. But yeah, so we slowed down
So
a
that's
little
when
bit.
you
Yeah, slowed down and waited for the police to get there.
Yeah.
They were already on campus. So anyway, that was probably the craziest thing that happened.
Jeez.
That's not a common
No,
occurrence.
no, of course
no,
not.
no,
But
no,
that's
but
amazing.
but the Birkenstocks
okay.
was funny.
In terms of, because a lot of the students living in the blocks now, during coronavirus, don't understand what it used to be like.
It's
and
probably a great thing for managing the building.
And of course, yeah. So even like
hear
when
this.
I first rocked up, my corridor had 2 Americans, a study abroad from England, a guy from Townsville, a guy from Melbourne, and a guy from Sydney, all in the one corridor, and myself, and I'm from Western Queensland. So, like, do you think that like such an eclectic mix of people in the blocks, not during coronavirus, like during sort of a normal semester while you were there, did that ever cause friction, or do you think that it was more of a positive thing?
Always more of a positive thing. You would find that sometimes the American study abroads would more or less hang together, but as you would expect, because they're overseas with a bunch of strange new people, and the people who they are closest to are people from back in the States. But it was never. I never felt that there was, like one group of people against another one. Usually it was more of a melting pot, and almost always a good thing.
I think it helps that it's on the Gold Coast. Like everyone's coming here. It's a vacation
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of deal.
they're here to.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like you can't really get upset at anything or anybody. So after you were done with your senior res fellowship, I'd say, you moved on from here, but you stayed doing Core 1.
Yep.
And then you said last semester they changed the ingredients on you, and that was during your COVID online.
No. So we were back. This was May semester we were all online, and we had just returned. Some people were watching it from online, but we were back. I don't know. This is one of my suspicions, and that they changed the ingredients because it was a cold and flu remedy, and I was making the point that this cannot do anything for you, but then they put ingredients in which could possibly do something for you, like vitamin C, zinc, or whatever. I think there's some amount of evidence that it can reduce the duration or symptoms of a cold. I don't necessarily know. It'd be interesting to know the timing of when they started changing the ingredients. But that was last semester.
So because you do it every sem. So 2 semesters ago it was normal.
So in May it was perfectly normal. It was weird though because I was in front of a webcam, and I watched the video back of me eating the pills, and it's horrific. Like I'm eating on.
I got sent that video.
Oh, you got it? Okay, so like it's not. You're meant to have that experience from 10 meters away or further, and this was like a close up of me chowing down on a bunch of sugar pills. But yeah.
So you're doing that online. You were working it all at home.
Yeah. So I made myself a studio. I got a curtain rod and some green cotton from Spotlight and sewed it together and put it up against a wall, and jerry rigged some LED lights for proper lighting, and then crinkled up some what do they call it, the wax paper, to make it as kind of the film and TV people could probably help here, but like a blurry. Like a diffuser. That's the word. Yeah, so fully diffused it.
I don't think I had a single professor in that COVID semester go to that much effort.
No.
So I was and then I taught myself OBS, so Open Broadcast Software, which is what like all the Twitch streamers and everything use, and so I was able to. I don't know whether everyone had the same experience, but when a teacher would display a PowerPoint, and then their webcam would be
tiny in the middle.
Tiny down there. I was able to put myself in the corner because I was like recording the screen, and the screen itself was a digital was part of the virtual webcam output. So I was like Twitch streaming.
Yeah. Pretty much. Streaming. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get any. Do they call it subscribers there?
Yeah,
there you go.
Subscribers, you get donations. No donations.
None of them.
Nothing like that.
None of them.
Oh, we'll have to get you an actual Twitch account.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and I'll get you streaming and stuff. Yeah. And then so you went straight into philosophy, and you're talking. And I wanted to ask you how you combined philosophy with core. Like, how is that related?
Well, so philosophy, psychology. There's a whole bunch of. In order for critical thinking, to teach critical thinking well, there's the basics of formal logic, those sorts of things. Like, so what an argument, what a good argument versus a bad one needs a bit of formal logic. But also, so that's the philosophy part. The psychology part is the more of the cognitive errors that we're prone to. So if we're likely to make mistakes under certain conditions, or what are the mistakes that just us as humans have a tendency of making. So the work by Kahneman and Tversky on dual process theory says that we've got 2 speeds that we can think at. One is the very, very quick and cheap and not very careful one, and then the other one is slower and more. Cost more. You couldn't run you'd go crazy if you ran your life in slow thinking, but it's pointing out times when someone might be automatically using going around just automatically using the fast thinking they should slow down and be careful. So I think that's a neat kind of junction where the two meet.
And do you think that's sort of one of the main takeaways from core one or from critical thinking is that when you are trying to like defend a certain position, it's not to use that, because a lot of people like a broad criticism of sort of making arguments in general is that people listen to respond instead of listening to understand. And do you think that's that using that quick thinking to
and it's yes, but it's hard too because emotions are involved, and if all of a sudden you find yourself you're in an argument with someone, a lot of the time people are scared or worried or wondering how they feel, and only really think of like a good comeback after they've calmed down and they're at home. They're trying to get to sleep that night, replaying it in their head, and they're like, damn it. But so it's hard. I'm not saying that that's a practical solution, but if I like what you said about listening to respond rather than that if people did slow down a little bit, then conversations and exchanges would be much better.
Yeah, because I definitely think that the skills that we're taught in Core 1, because a lot of what you hear from first semester students when they do start Core 1, and it's like the premises and the conclusion and the valid and invalid arguments, that what you hear sort of on the grapevine is like, how is this helping me?
Yeah,
right?
And I get that.
I mean, for us as law students, in Legal Foundations A, we're actually taught deductive logic as well. So it's actually relevant, but for a lot of students, I think they don't see it. But when they get into the workplace and those communication skills come into play, and just being able to critique your own position comes into play in so many areas.
I think if we stopped the subject after validity, then those criticisms would be perfect. That'd be absolutely right, because rarely do arguments succeed or fail based on the validity, or just an error which makes the argument invalid. But it's the fallacies which builds upon that sort of stuff. So the application stuff afterwards. But it's kind of weathering that storm and encouraging people to get through the first 5 weeks, and then showing them the value after that, and then the final essay, which is where they kind of culminate the subject with like all of the fallacy skills and investigating whether a position is actually reasonable to believe is
that might have been one of my favorite.
What topic
essays
did you have?
Moon landing.
Cool.
Yeah.
And we didn't lose you, because every semester we get like we some people we give the conspiracy theory topics to, and we'll lose them. They'll start Googling it, and they'll turn up to class all sheepish and say, you know what, Russell, have you heard about this Illuminati? Because there's some suspicious stuff going on. And then
let me tell you how I started off with Bob Lazar.
Oh no!
Oh my God! Yeah, I went right
the
into
UFO
Area
guy.
51,
Yeah.
And I watched his. I think at the time he dropped a documentary on Netflix.
Yep.
It just came out, and then I'm pretty sure it was like 3 weeks before he had his own podcast, like with Joe Rogan. He hopped on the podcast. Like, this is meant to be. Like I'm researching by watching this podcast and watching the video and just regurgitated it all. I think I passed.
So we did lose you a little bit. But okay.
I don't know.
What'd you have?
Bored.
Well, I don't know. I think it was ghost hunting.
Cool.
And I mean, I was never really like. First of all, I really don't like horror because it like freaks me out. So I was watching like the Paranormal Activity videos and stuff.
What?
And like ghost
That's
hunting.
research.
And ghost hunting, not Paranormal Activity, but like
according to Paranormal Activity 2003,
the second one.
No, the ghost hunting documentaries, and I was trying so hard, I was actually trying so hard to prove that it was unreasonable, because I didn't want them to be real at any evidence, but then I had to change my mindset because I realized that I was sort of making the conclusion and then finding evidence to fit it instead of vice versa. But no, I had ghost hunting, and it was such an interesting topic. But I know some people who had pyramid power, and in Lakeside they have the fruit like stacked on like a metal rack in a pyramid,
No
and
way.
they were like,
It is.
it's real.
Pyramid schemes,
Yeah.
the pyramid powers.
Never
is
seen those that fruit rot, have you?
Yeah.
No,
No, that's right.
Therefore,
The fruit doesn't move. Like,
Therefore, there's
I think it's
power.
because no one buys fruit from Lakeside.
no, pyramid.
Yeah,
Pyramid.
pyramid
Yeah.
power. No, pyramid
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know whether we have much else.
Well, okay, if you were going to do an essay like that, what would you,
Yeah.
where would you kind of lean towards? Would you try to be proving it wrong, or would you go against the grain? Because I was just trying to give you, because I know other people were going to give you a similar essay, because I wasn't the only one writing about the moon landing. So I wanted to give something different. That's why I kind of went off the grain, and maybe I lost myself.
I wouldn't want to encourage people to mess with it, but
like for people
I think
who are
if
gonna
I
do it
was
now.
doing it, I mean the right answer here is I'd pick a difficult topic that was topical, and I would investigate it and put forward a reasoned response. But I think that if I was set this now, knowing what I know, I might try to prove something that definitely wasn't true just for fun. I'm not saying any of my students should ever do that, but it might be hilarious to... no, maybe we should cut this part. No, but I would
Timestamp
mess
that.
with it. Yeah. I would, if I had to do it, but I have a strange sense of humor.
Well, I mean, that's what I tried to do, but I did get lost in it. And it really does matter who's marking it, because you'd have to really understand.
Yeah,
hopefully
like
they
whether
understand
someone
what
is
you're-
tongue in cheek about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, because frankly, I feel like that's the one assignment I've done thus far that gave me the most opportunity to mess around
Yeah. Well, it is. It's
in a scholarly way.
Yeah, it's not. There's a lot of freedom in it. It's not that you need to become an expert in your area and look at particular resources. It's a very simple question: is it reasonable? And there's lots of ways to answer that question, so you can take it in many ways. Yeah.
Alright, awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get off the script for a little bit.
Listeners' calls.
And do we have any
Emails?
questions from
Emails
anybody?
from,
Well, I reckon we will have tons of messages and emails coming in after.
do you have sponsors?
And we do. We are sponsored by.
What?
Any upcoming shows?
No, nobody. We're not sponsored by anyone. I'm sorry, guys. I lied. Yeah, there's nothing. No, this was our very first podcast. We didn't really know what to expect from this this, but thank you for coming on.
Oh, you're welcome.
Last.
I'm honoured to be the first.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad you.
Yeah.
Like I said,
I
this
mean-
is Russell, everyone's first favorite. Okay.
Can I look at the camera now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's
Breaking
great.
the fourth wall.
And no, for those, we didn't really cover it at the start, but for those watching who may not have heard about the podcast, like by word of mouth, it's Under the Arch is what we've called it. Obviously, arch building, Bond, very topical, and we're just sort of looking for staff, alumni, students who have got interesting stories, interesting stuff to talk about, and yeah, we just want to sort of expose, because if you expose everyone. No.
Expose the truth about these professors.
Yeah.
Because they're not all crazy. Some of them are actually good, funny people. And no, frankly, here at this university, I've found some of these profs and students and alumni to be some of the most fascinating people I've ever met. Like,
Yeah.
I've literally met a prince. I have to find him here and get him on this podcast. So before we cut it off and end, could you tell me about the most interesting student you have ever met here at Bond?
Oh God. Oh, I don't know if I can on the spot, and that isn't because I'm
Doesn't have
thinking
to
of
be the
someone.
most, just one that pops up.
I can say that there's been 5,000. This is going to sound like a politician's dodging question, but there's been 5,500 through just call one. So, and then there were heaps before. And it's not that everyone's a number, of course not. They're all people, but it's hard to. There's so many people just pick out one. Like they'd have to do something like super.
Surely there's one that was super something.
Oh, let me think about Res.
Even better.
Yeah. Okay. yeah. Yeah. What would you like to know about him?
No, just what is it?
Yeah.
Him, her,
So-
what's going on?
I won't use names. He was a larrikin. So this was during my time on res, and he did several things which were funny. One was he parked in the south. He had a very recognizable car with a recognizable number plate, and he parked in the senior res fellows spot.
So your spot.
No, it's a
Oh,
South Tower spot.
Okay.
And the senior res fellow at the time, Jenny Cuskelly, I can say her name, parked him in because she wanted to find out who it was. She came back after I think she'd gone to Lakeside or wherever she'd gone, and he had gone up over the curb and left, but also covered the inside of her door handle with peanut butter.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
And she knew, of course, who it was. It was him with the car, and everyone knew who he was. Yeah, bright red hair. That's not narrowing it down too much, but it is a little. And anyway, so I got a phone call Saturday morning. This happened Friday night. I got a phone call from her Saturday morning saying, "Look, I want to come over. I found out he's in your building. Can I come over? This is Jenny, and I want to go and talk to him, and I want you to be there. And I'm going to say that I won't take it further if he washes my car." And he comes out of his bedroom. She accuses him of it. He denies it, and she says, "Look, I won't take it any further if you come in and clean it." And he's like, "All right, fine." And we walk away. He goes back into his room. And I said, "Jenny, did you notice that he had like this big peanut butter smear like across his shirt?" So he's standing there like, "Nah, I don't know what you're talking about. Definitely wasn't me." And this handprint of like peanut butter across his shirt. Anyway, that's one of the.
I was gonna say
funniest
no
guys.
face, no case, but he got himself.
Yeah, no,
Nice.
it was like she didn't notice it either, but like he had fully. I'm
I
sitting
mean,
there watching him.
Props to him for sticking to his guns,
He's like,
even though
"Nah,
the evidence
nah,
is
I don't know."
across his midriff.
Could have been a coincidence. Could've been.
He also was the only guy who would bring me dragon fruit, because his grandma had a dragon fruit plant, and when he'd go home, he'd bring some back, and there was one day where dragon fruit was smeared everywhere through his corridor. Fully denied it. Like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, dude, you're the dragon fruit guy. Like, no, it definitely wasn't me. Hey. Yeah, so he was probably the best.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Well, the funniest. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's
That's a
awesome.
great story.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Thanks, Russell, for coming on.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Quickly want to apologise to all the current Court 1 students. We couldn't get you to commit a fallacy, so
I may have during
rewatch it.
Rewatch
keep
it, slow-mo.
rewatching the podcast.
Yeah, we'll look
and
forward.
for the spoilers for week 11, just everyone looks surprised when I overdose.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Well, everyone will still want to see it now. It's it's got a
it's
bit of
advertising.
traction.
You're doing
Yeah.
2 classes, so are you gonna be chugging 2 bottles back to back?
Yep. Eating 2 lots of pills. I'm going to read the bottles carefully this time to make sure it's not the new and improved formula with actual ingredients. Yep.
You're gonna find an older bottle, hopefully not
I did
expired?
see one the other day. I saw them next to each other, so they must be phasing it in and out.
Okay.
And I might stock up on the old ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so people stick around for both lectures because you're
Yeah.
gonna be chugging it twice in the same day,
Absolutely.
I'm free Monday
which
afternoon.
is terrifying. Yeah. Which is awesome, but yeah,
Yeah.
thank you again
Yeah.
very much for coming on, and
You're
I
welcome,
reckon we'll
guys.
have you again on soon. We'll see.
Okay.
Through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's changed in Russell's life?
Well, I mean,
yeah.
we'll do it maybe in a year.
Yeah, cool.
We're gonna run through all the
Wow.
what faculties.
Yeah.
We'll
Try and get a good
everyone
spread.
in,
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, we're gonna do maybe law, med, architecture, see who's who in all the buildings.
I'll think up some stories that I can
Yeah.
share between now and then.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then we'll see what happens. I'm sure there's gonna be tons of new stuff that comes out till
Yeah.
then.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank
Cool.
you very much.
You're welcome.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
guys.
you.
I
Thank
wanna
you,
give,
everyone, for watching.
Yeah, and a special thank you to our video and sound and social media people
Yep. Who are behind the camera?
behind the scenes.
Yes.
We'll show you pictures of them later.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.